Hello everyone and welcome to Lost in the Reel. Today I'm going to be talking about Paramount Plus's new limited series, The Offer, which goes behind the scenes of the making of the legendary film, The Godfather, just in time for its 50th anniversary. Does this show do the classic movie justice? Let's talk about it. Before we get started, I want to say thank you to Paramount Plus for providing all 10 episodes of this new series for early review, and that this will be a non-spoiler review for its entirety. The series is written by Michael Tolkien, based on the experiences of Albert S. Ruddy. It stars Miles Teller, Matthew Good, Juno Temple, Giovanni Ribisi, Bern Gorman, Colin Hanks, Jake Cannavale, Patrick Gallo, Justin Chambers, and Dan Fogler. The Offer tells the story of Oscar-winning producer Albert S. Ruddy's never-before-revealed experiences of making the seminal film, The Godfather. The Offer is another huge swing-for-the-fences series from streamer Paramount Plus, who in the last couple of months have really been trying to prove that they are worth your dollar in this crowded marketplace with 1883 and Halo. It is exciting to see the platform finally offer some real quality original programming, because there was a moment that I thought this streamer was going to become obsolete just as quick as Quibi. And though they will need to continue this hot streak to be able to compete with the likes of Netflix and Apple TV Plus, I would say The Offer is definitely worth your forking out the $4.99 subscription, or at least doing the month trial. The show chronicles the making of the 1972 film The Godfather through the eyes of Oscar-winning producer Albert S. Ruddy. The tagline of the series is the greatest movie almost never made, as the film was plagued by financial woes, a struggling studio, warring mobsters, an infamously difficult leading man, stubborn executives, and dirty politics, to name just a few things that stood in The Godfather's way. I think it's best for me to be forthcoming and say that I have only seen the first Godfather film and not the second or the maligned third chapter. And although I respect its craft and its legacy, I wouldn't necessarily go as far to say that it is one of my favorite films of all time. So I was going into The Offer, as most probably will, with not a whole lot of expectations and a minimal amount of knowledge about the making of the movie. But by the end of the first episode, I knew that something really special was in store. And by the end of the series, which runs for 10 episodes, I felt like not only had I gotten a fascinating history lesson, but one in which I got to be a fly on the wall to experience a time in Hollywood that is long gone. I savored every moment of The Offer, even throughout some of its messiness, which I will get to in a bit, because I could feel the passion for the original film it was depicting and the love for the movie-making process radiating off of the screen. I would say that the series operates on two different levels, one where we follow the behind-the-scenes look of the making of the movie, and then another where we follow the real-life mobsters that inspired the original book, The Godfather, that Mario Puzo wrote through first-hand experiences. I think that The Offer absolutely excels in the former. It is riveting television to watch from the very beginning, where the script is being written by Coppola and Puzo, to the chaos of the boardrooms with Paramount executives, who can't seem to all be on the same page about what film they're trying to make, all the way to the casting process, and then to when the movie is finally being filmed and experiencing every pitfall you could possibly imagine. I honestly could not get enough of it. The arduous process of making movies has been translated onto the screen more times than anyone could count. David Fincher just took a shot at it, and in my opinion failed with Mank. But very rarely has it been done with such explosiveness, passion, and painstaking care to rival the magic of the movies themselves. And I believe that The Offer is able to do that. Why I think it works so much is because the series and its writers are not afraid to show the nasty side of old Hollywood with its blatant racism and sexism and pure hypocrisy and nihilism right alongside the facade of the glitz and glamour. It is a bit meta watching a show about the dark side of Paramount's history on the studio streaming platform so many years later, but it does add to the offer's charm nonetheless. And while there is all of these grim truths being displayed, the series is also just as breezy and fun to watch as well. I never felt like it was taking itself too seriously because it had to do the legendary film's namesake justice. The offer operates as a juicy expose of entertainment just as much as it does an important history lesson. One way that you can see that the show is not taking itself too seriously is through the performances. And I must admit, they do all range in quality. It's especially hard when you are recasting so many different actors to play extremely well-known figures in real life. No one was expecting the guy who played Alex Karev on Grey's Anatomy, Justin Chambers, to play a perfect Marlon Brando performing as Don Corleone. But there is still so much to be desired there, and it just somehow feels off. Even worse is Giovanni Ribisi, who I usually love, who plays gangster Joe Colombo as if he had been rebirthed as Kermit the Frog with a confounding and distracting voice and accent. Luckily, many of the other performers fare far better. Miles Teller has never been more likable, though that's not really saying much, as our lead protagonist Al Ruddy. You feel for this guy because everything is falling apart around him, and he is the sole person responsible to hold it all together and keep it afloat. Matthew Goode is having the time of his life, playing the cocaine-fueled vice president of Paramount, Robert Evans, sporting a mightily nasty sinus infection and a penchant for drinking and drugging way too much. Goode is just plain wildly entertaining in the role. Juno Temple is captivating to watch, as always, playing one of only 2 female leads in the series, which I suppose is sadly faithful to the time that this series is depicting. But the real MVP here is Dan Fogler, who plays the iconic director Francis Ford Coppola. Not only does Fogler disappear into the role physically, he captures the manic creativity, desperation, and fiery passion of the filmmaker perfectly. This guy continues to be the bright spot of every project that he is in. Unfortunately, I do think the mobster drama of The Offer is where it falters. I get that it's almost the hook of the show, that there was an ironic mafia war going on behind the scenes of The Godfather, but these scenes almost took me out of the show entirely. I was so invested in the examination of the process of the movie being made that every time it switched gears to Columbo or his adversaries, I immediately began to tune out. I also think that there is so much going on and so much story to tell that sometimes The Offer can get lost in it all. One moment an episode is concentrating on the studio's hatred for Al Pacino and Ruddy's quest to make the executives see him as the perfect Michael, then it sidelines that for relationship drama, then to Brando finding a stray cat that he wants to film an iconic scene with, then all of a sudden we are thrown into the lighting guy throwing a tantrum. I just feel as if there were so many crazy moments and fun asides in the making of this movie, and the creators of The Offer wanted to include them all. So sometimes it feels as if these things are stitched together haphazardly, rather than creating a cohesive narrative. Other than those few things though, I absolutely adored this limited series. From the moment I turned it on, all the way to its 10th episode's finale, I was captivated by this stranger than fiction true story. It's one of the few limited series this year that I felt was the perfect length with a runtime that just flew by, rather than stretching a simple story to its limits. I also think that if you are a fan of movies in general, you will be fascinated by getting to see how one of the greatest of all time came to be made. You really can't deny the magic of the movies, or in the case of The Offer, television about the magic of making movies. So I will be giving The Offer 4.25 Don Corleones out of 5. A riveting watch from start to finish, this limited series packs so much story in its 10-episode run that it may feel a bit messy, but it's never not entertaining. The Offer is a captivating love letter to Hollywood and the filmmaking process, albeit one that holds up a middle finger to it all and says, I love you, but fuck you. Thank you so much for watching Lost in the Reel and my review for The Offer. What are your thoughts on this limited series? And do you think it did The Godfather's legacy justice? Sound off in the comment section down below. And until next time, my friends, take care.